Hi there, my name is Delene Sims, alumni, staff, and a member of the Black History Month committee. On behalf of our committee, our campus dean Nate Horowitz, School of Communications, Media Arts and Design, our academic chairs Dr. Chris Jackman and Barry Waite, welcome and thanks for joining us. Over the last 5 years, the Story Arts Center has hosted a Black History Month commemoration and celebratory event live. Our showcase has always been a powerful platform for our students' unique voices in supporting transformative change and historical truth. This has not changed. With the recognition of Black history in the wake of the 2020 events impacting everyone differently, it was important that we maintain this outlet. We recognize the seriousness of our continued healing through community and encouraged our entire SSE student body to share their thoughts and feelings of the past year with us. This, therefore, is the end result. The Centennial College community had a number of offerings over Black History Month, and with our continuing initiative to celebrate Black history year-round, the School of Communications, Media Arts and Design is making this our first presentation in March. Under the theme 2020 Eyes Opened, coined by our event producer and music industry arts and performance graduate Natalie Morris, the fully immersive, now very intimate experience is online. So, we hope you are moved and entertained as we open our show with this familiar hymn by James Weldon Johnson. Here is Natalie with a soulful rendition of the unofficial Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings with our harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling seas. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. No, let us march on till victory is won.
I'm Ariel Sky Williams. I'm 8 years old. I'm unarmed and I have nothing that will hurt you.
People of color have always been targeted by the police.
Before they became a policeman, they were a person. And that person took all their ideas and all their thoughts and all their prejudice into their job. Why would a
police officer assume that you did something bad. Maybe because of my skin color.
You have to be careful when you're out there in this world, because this world's not going to always be honest or fair to you.
I'm Ariel Sky Williams. I'm 8 years old. I'm unarmed and I have nothing that will hurt you.
Welcome to our Black History Month event for this year. My name is Natalie Morris. I'm your host for today. And as you probably noticed, this show is being aired in March. And that is purposeful because Centennial College did want to continue an initiative that they started by celebrating the cultures and the history of Black people all year round and not just in February. I'm honored to be a part of this show this year, as well as among the performers for this year. I do want to thank in advance all our performers who have donated a contribution. You saw our first video, which was by Diamond, and he put together the audio compilation of that video. One thing that did stand out to me about the video that we just watched was when the woman was saying that the police officers come to work with their prejudices. And I find that so striking because they really do, like, it's an individual thing. These people come with their preconceived notion about you, just assuming that you're a drug dealer or you are broke, so you don't have the money to pay for whatever they think you stole, or any of these other prejudices or stereotypes that are attached to the Black community. That is something that really stood out to me, that made me like think back and be like, whoa, the fact that so many police officers have this same mentality shows an issue with our society. So that's something that really stood out to me, that I thought I would just put out there. So every year we do have a different topic, and this year the topic is 2020 Eyes Opened. I specifically chose this topic because of the events that happened in the summer of 2020 with the riots, the protests, the deaths. And I wanted to bring it back to our attention because as I'm wearing the shirt, it says Black Lives Matter, and Black lives still matter. And it's not just a one-time event, but this is something that we do need to be thinking about on a daily if we want to change what is going on. And so I didn't want it to be swept under the rug because summer is over of 2020 or anything like that. I also chose the topic because I felt like 2020 really gave us an opportunity to see what was really going on. That's why I entitled it Eyes Open. Maybe I was just doing it for myself, but I feel like it was kind of a veil taken off of the eyes, and to be able to see the reality of what's going on. And I believe that it's because of the pandemic that we're all still going through right now. It made us slow down our lives. And now that we're inside, we're paying more attention to media, we're paying more attention to things that are external to us and not necessary. And yes, I'm sure people have used this time for a time of inflection, but it also did give us a lot more opportunity it also gave us a lot of opportunity to think about the world around us. And I think in thinking and seeing the world around us, this was revealed or this was uncovered for us. And the only right thing to do is stand against it, because once you see injustice, you should stand against it. It's a hard thing to do. I can't boldly stand here and say, yes, you're going to stand against injustice every single time. But if you practice it, it does become easier, and it does lift a weight off of your conscience to know that you did the right thing for the betterment of society, for the betterment of your neighbor, for the betterment of your family member, for the betterment of humanity, essentially. Because if everybody operated in love, if everybody operated with a sense of compassion towards other people, then I definitely think this world would be a way better place to spend our days, you know. Our next two performances, one is by Talene, who's doing a spoken word poem, and then the next would be by Shira, who is singing I Can't Breathe. Please enjoy.
At the same time, all the corruption, injustice, the same crimes. Always a problem if we do or don't fight and we die. We don't have the same right. What is a gun to a man that surrenders? What's it gonna take for someone to defend her? If we all agree that we're equal as people, then why can't we see what is evil? I can't breathe. You're taking my life from me. I can't breathe. Will anyone fight for me? Ooh, ooh, ooh. How do we cope when we don't love each other? Where's the hope and the empathy? How do we judge of the color the structure was made to make us the enemy? Praying for change cause the pain makes you tender. All of the names you refuse to remember was somebody's brother, friend, or a son to a mother that's crying, singing I can't breathe. You're taking my life. Will anyone fight for me? Ooh, ooh. Will anyone fight for me? Ooh, trying times all the time. Destruction of minds, bodies, and human rights. Stripped of bloodlines, whipped and confined. This is the American pride. It's justifying a genocide, romanticizing the theft and bloodshed that made America the land of the free to take a black life. Land of the free to bring a gun to a peaceful fight for civil rights. You are desensitized for pulling triggers on innocent lives because that's how we got here in the first place. These wounds sink deeper than the bullet your entitled hands could ever reach. Generations and generations of pain, fear, and anxiety. Equality is walking without intuition, saying the protector and the killer is wearing the same uniform. The revolution is not televised. Media perception is forced down the throats of closed minds, so it's lies in the headlines and generations of supremacy, resulting in your ignorant, privileged eyes. We breathe the same and we bleed the same, but still we don't see the same. Be thankful we are God-fearing because we do not seek revenge. We seek justice. We are past fear. We are fed up eating your shit because because you think your so-called black friend validates your wokeness and erases your racism. That kind of uncomfortable conversation is too hard for your trust fund pockets to swallow. To swallow the strange fruit hanging from my family tree because of your audacity. To say all men are created equal in the eyes of God, but disparage a man based on the color of his skin. Do not say you do not see color. When you see us, we can't breathe.
Yes, I'm white. Yes, I fight for black rights. Got that right. For black lives, for black strikes. Police slide through the system like black ice. When black doesn't resist, police still inflict, force and insist that their lives were at risk. This is prejudice. We watch the government assist incarcerating black people with no evidence. It's senseless. Black people are guilty until proven innocence. Oftentimes they plead guilty to lighten their sentence. But when police abuse their power, cases dismissed. Most times all they get is a leave of absence. If any cop stood and watched silent to injustice and they're an accomplice and must be brought to justice. We are shown that black people aren't safe in their communities without fear of scrutiny. Police kill ruthlessly and expect impunity. But did they expect for people to stand together in unity? George Floyd pleaded for his life. Derek Chauvin, Thomas Lane, J.A. Kung, and Tu Thao ignored. Now the world can't ignore the words, justice for George. But if the people hadn't demanded it, would there be pending charges for all four? We are shown that black people aren't safe to go on runs. Ahmaud Arbery was killed by racists with guns. Why did it take so long to arrest the ones that took the breath right out of his lungs? But for failure to signal, Sandra Bland was arrested at once. We are shown that black people aren't safe no matter where they go, and it doesn't end when they walk into their home. Breonna Taylor was killed in her very own by police pulling up in unmarked cars wearing regular clothes. Kenneth Walker shot his gun thinking the police were burglars, but who we encountered were worse. They were murderers. There are still no charges against the officers, but there was initially a charge against Kenneth Walker. And the list doesn't stop there. What do all these victims have in common? The skin color that they share. And black people are supposed to sleep at night, supposed to turn off the light and close their eyes, knowing that they can abide and comply, and racists have the power to choose if they'll live or die. Can't breathe, police don't hear them. Hands up, police don't see them. Minor infraction, police beat them. Police, imagine how it feels to be them. It's hard to imagine watching a family member screaming due to unjust violence they're receiving, but can't act on what you're seeing because you'd too be a target if you step in intervening. It's hard to imagine the feeling of your heart beating, looking at the blood they're bleeding, knowing that being black is the only reason they succumb to this treatment. Protesters are faced with rubber bullets and tear gas emissions, fighting for justice in what we call the justice system. Peaceful protesters arrested faster than the ones doing the killing. Keep educating, donating, signing petitions for imprisonment of the cops wrongfully using force and ammunition. For the children that are afraid they'll never grow up due to violence against people that look like them that they've witnessed. Racism can't be accepted. Black people need to be protected. The ones who are meant to serve and protect are the ones from whom danger is expected, are the ones from whom black people need protection. I'm not personally affected, but I stand with them for them to be respected, for the motives of authority figures to be inspected, and the idea of holding them accountable isn't rejected. To the names that didn't make the news, the injustices with no video proof, to the ones who have lost or are afraid to lose, my prayers go out to each one of you. And to all the white people saying all lives matter, can't you see that ours already do? Black lives matter doesn't mean black lives matter more. It means that black lives matter too. If they're unarmed, they should be unharmed. Again, if they're unarmed, they should be unharmed. If they didn't do a crime, then they shouldn't be charged. And if police commit a crime, give them a charge.
Thank you so much to Talene for that poem. It was so poignant and it was so powerful. I feel like it really impacted me, and I love the different perspective, the different point of view that you're coming from, because obviously you can't speak for me and I can't speak for you. So I'm so glad that we were able to get a different perspective on this global issue. So thank you so much for that point of view. I Can't Breathe, I really, really like that song, especially the words of that song because it resonates with me. I feel like it was a timely song that encompassed a lot of the sentiments of the Black community during the summer of 2020. And just having to hear those words again, I Can't Breathe, we already heard it from Eric Garner the first time, and then we have to hear it again from George Floyd in their dying breath. And I don't think that's a coincidence, and I really hope that that is the last that we have to see of it. But if I'm going to be realistic, probably won't be. But that's another reason why we are doing this, because we see the need for change. And a great thing about this year is that we don't only have music students. We extended the invitation to different programs in the Story Arts Center. And we did get a student who wanted to share an essay that she wrote about understanding Blackness beyond trauma. She is a storyteller, and so it's so compelling. So please listen to every word that she's saying. After that, we will have Zoe singing Black Like Me. Please receive them well.
Hey. Sometimes you have a big wake-up call that sends you on a new trajectory. For 2020, I had a few of those. Not the obvious ones that dominate the news, community murals, and social media hashtags. Growing up in Jamaica and the daughter of pioneering creatives always ensured a regular IV stream of reality for me. What struck me about Canada, Toronto most specifically, was the veiled microaggressions that permeate centennial classrooms, workplaces, student councils, and even book clubs. Exhaustion from microaggressions motivated me to write this paper in December of 2020. Here's an excerpt from it. It was titled Lifting the Veil, Intangible Cultural Heritage. It started off with an quote from my favorite poem, Meditations on Yellow by Olive Senior. Senior qualifies the quality of yellow by quoting Gabriel Garcia Marquez. The yellow of the Caribbean, seen from Jamaica at 3 in the afternoon. The poem starts. At 3 in the afternoon, you landed here at El Dorado, for heat engenders gold and fires the brain. Had I known, I would have brewed you up some yellow grass fever and arsenic. But we were peaceful then, childlike in the yellow dawn of innocence. So, in exchange for a string of islands and 2 continents, you gave us a string of beads and some hawk shells. Which was fine by me personally, for I never wanted to possess things, and I prefer copper anyway. The smell pleases our Lord Ugana, our mother, Atabera. So my essay begins with, when my father was a little boy, at 3 in the afternoon, my father would run down to the river bottom with his cousin Jimmy to see if they could catch a glimpse of the elusive river maiden. Country children who lived near rivers knew the tale of Jamaica's ancient water spirit, who is the mother and protector of all life, but also destroys. She is both the promise of a place like Jamaica and the certain ruin if you try to possess or harm her and any of the things she cares about. For she is described as a great beauty, but beastly and deadly. As boys, my father and his cousin Jimmy dreamed of the ethereal River Muma. So, from Atabera to Mami Wata to River Muma. River Muma is said to originate at the mouth of the Rio Cobre in the heart of the island nation of Jamaica. Like the anaconda, always at the side in the African tradition, the river snakes out to the sea, bringing either life or destruction to those in its path. River Muma protects the waters and all that live in it. She guards the treasures of the island left behind by the Spanish, the Tainos, and the first Africans to the island. Not just at the bottom of the water, but in the people themselves. The British brought more people from the African continent to work as slaves and build up the Americas, including the construction of Flatbridge over the roaring Rio Cobre River. This was an essential passageway between the north, with its plantations, and the south, the heart of society and government in Jamaica. The myth of the vengeful, protective River Muma began to take hold of the slaves bought by the British from Igbo, Akan tribes of West Africa. They connected this River Muma character with their various incarnations of a water spirit, collectively known as Mami Wata. They believe Mami Wata traveled from Africa with them to protect them from the worst of slavery and to transport their spirits back to the homeland. All who hear River Muma's call are enticed to come. If you sneak up on her, she will be startled and jump into the river. If you are lucky, she will leave her golden comb behind for you. From the more benevolent African Mami Wata and Taino, Atabera, there is a belief that River Muma has loaned the lucky person her comb. While the comb is in their possession, she will visit the lucky person's dreams and grant any wish. But when it's time to return the comb, don't delay, or greed will lead to your demise. In other more vengeful versions, very similar to the man-hungry sirens of Europe, we see the River Muma protecting the gold and wealth of the island, smiting anyone who dares to rob the island of its resources. A 2019 Jamaica Observer article reads, River Muma does not want to show herself. The beauty is in the mystery, in the darkness. River Muma epitomizes the untamed potential of Jamaican abundance, and with every attempt at capture comes self-destruction. It is this enduring sensibility, I say, that as a people we would rather die standing than live on our knees, subjugated or in an endless loop where we are simplified and our cultures minimized or erased. River Muma is that spirit within us that, like water, we will either be free or we will break free. So, the trouble with the single narrative. As a creative who seeks to understand the world outside and within, I am struck, especially when outside of the Caribbean, by the European lens that oversimplifies, minimizes, and justifies willful ignorance with veiled terms like the dark, unknown Africa, with its 54 countries and such a rich history of accomplishments and progress. Africans in the diaspora echo the sentiment shared by YouTuber Iwani that Africa is not a country. She explains the problem with blanket statements about the continent as about the continent, or casual use of the term Africa, by quoting Ryszard Kapuscinski's The Cobra's Heart. The continent is too large to describe. It is a veritable ocean, a separate planet, a varied, immensely rich cosmos. Only with the greatest simplification, for the sake of convenience, can we ever say Africa. In reality, except as a geographical appellation, Africa does not exist. Like Africa's 54 countries, Jamaica and the other 25 countries of the Caribbean are often overlooked, oversimplified, or just simply ignored. Boundaries are forced upon us that lead to feelings of isolation. The Caribbean, like Africa and other so-called developing regions, are continuously bombarded with images of poverty, oppression, slavery, and discrimination, as if it's the only way that we can be seen. Our outstretched hand is not seen as an offer of partnership, but as a plea for pity. Iwani and Mehdi Hassan, while at Al Jazeera, point out that the continent of Africa, with 1.1 billion people in its 54 countries and 2,000 languages, somehow still has colonial boundaries and revisionist history valued and taught as reality, ignoring thousands of years of connections and culture. The Caribbean and Latin America are no different. As regions and individual countries, we have so many stories of celebration, joy, pride, laughter. Yet the single lazy narrative of oppression persists. As a person of color, I am tired of it. North America has Black History Month, the shortest month of the year. Its existence is an admission of the willful ignorance that exists beyond the single narrative of slavery and enduring oppression, which is relegated to at best 29 days on a leap year. It speaks of the omissions not just of Black cultures, but anything beyond a whitewashed, binary, cookie-cutter reality for the remaining 337 days of the year. If I feel the need to bring up the oppression of some of my ancestors, then I believe it is my right to be the one to open up that conversation. I would never think to impose my views on the Inuit experience, or attempt to say who Burmese people are, or when to showcase the pain of another. It's their pain, their stories. As an outsider to these experiences, it's hard to understand or speak authentically. To attempt to speak for another without invitation perpetuates colonial ideas along with language and systems of oppression, isms and schisms, as Rasta would say. Iwani, in her 2015 post, Africa is not a country, echoes, we as Africans have accomplished so much. Why can't you see our achievements? Why don't you only see poverty and helplessness? It is exhausting to continually be bombarded with stories of suffering and ideas that one's culture is unknowable. The perpetuated lie of colonialism seeks to erase colonized identities, and like in a Marquez novel, tries to pass it off as absurd erasure as reality. Stories like River Moma seek to redefine the narrative from an authentic perspective. This is our story of the Caribbean. Stories enable us to know ourselves, to acknowledge and have witness to our existence on our own terms and values. River Moma, a transcultural phenomenon, is how I end. Characters from oral tradition like River Moma are at risk of being forgotten. As a 21st century storyteller, it is my calling to weave into my content the magic of characters like River Moma, who embody the mystery and magic of all the cultures that brought them into fruition. My dad and cousin Jimmy have long since left Somerton. They still visit as elder statesmen. They reminisce of their childhood days when they would hear River Moma's call and follow it helplessly to the mouth of the river, hoping for a glimpse, but always just too late to see her. River Moma still haunts my dad's twilight dreams, and he continuously is driven to write poetry about her. Jimmy changed his last name from Chambers to Cliff and would go on to sing, "Many rivers to cross, and it's only my will that keeps me alive. I've been licked, washed up for years, and I merely survive because of my pride." Jamaica is a name adapted from the original Taino name Jamaica, which means land of wood and water. Jamaicans are a people of the land and its water. When we see that 3 o'clock sun over the enchanting Caribbean Sea, or one of the sublimely blue rivers channeling through the island, you can feel the vigor of the nation, the pulse of River Moma rushing through our sonorous caves out into the open. River Moma still lives and captivates the hearts and imaginations of young and old. As a Jamaican, Canadian of Igbo, Akan, German, Maroon, which means Taino and Caramanti, Indian and other European roots, I proudly say, long live River Moma. I close this essay with the end of Olive Senior's meditation on Yellow poem, which goes, I love this part. You cannot tear my song from my throat. You cannot erase the memory of my story. You cannot catch my rhythm, for you have born with that. You cannot comprehend the magic of anacondas changing into rivers like the Amazon boas dancing in my garden, arcing into rainbows. And I haven't even had a drop of drink yet. You cannot reverse Bob Marley's wailing, making me feel so mellow in the Caribbean yellow at 3 o'clock any day now. Thank you. And yeah, let's be celebrating all histories. 365, 366. It's all about us all year long. Thank you.
Little kid in a small town, I did my best just to fit in. Broke my heart on the playground, when they said I was different. Ooh, now I'm all grown up and nothing has changed. Yeah, it's still the same. It's a hard life on Easy Street. Just white painted picket fences, far as you can see. If you think we live in the land of the free, you should try being black like me. My daddy worked day and night for a house and a used car, just to live that good life. It shouldn't be twice as hard. Ooh, now I'm all grown up and nothing has changed. yeah, it's still the same. It's a hard life on Easy Street. Just white painted picket fences, far as you can see. If you think we live in the land of the free, you should try being black like me. I don't belong. Ooh, it's a hard life on Easy Street. Just white painted picket fences, far as you can see. And if you think we live in the land of the free, you should try being black like me. And I'm glad you're black like me. And I'm proud to be black like me. Oh, I'm proud to be in the land of free. Well, I'm proud to be black like me. I'm proud to be black like me.
Thank you so much to our two performers that we just saw. Kai, I really, really love your storytelling essay. It was very compelling and captivating. I especially love your description of River Moma. And I agree with you when you say that all 365, 366 days of the year, we should be celebrating everybody, all histories, all cultures, because this is us, right? This is our time. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then thank you, Zoe, for singing Black Like Me. It is noted that we are individuals, right? So that means everyone's story is different. And if we share our stories, it allows for a better understanding of other people's experiences and therefore their cultures and histories. And then it just creates a more understanding society. So thank you so much, Zoe, for that rendition of Black Like Me. And then our next two performers, one is a graphic design student, and she is sharing a poster that she created for the Michael Garron Hospital. And as a final performance, we will be having an original song by Leox called Human Soul.
Hi, my name's Raquel, and I'm currently in my final year of graphic design at Centennial College. I was commissioned to create a poster for Michael Garron Hospital that spoke to anti-Black racism, as well as promoted diversity and inclusion. My process was, I did some research on different symbols that would represent racism as well as diversity. I then did some sketches and translated that into digital roughs, which I sent to the client for approval. The process went very smooth, and in the end, the client was very pleased. This design opportunity was a great way for me to kickstart my freelance career, as it motivated me to reach out to similar clients. It means so much to me to have my work displayed at Michael Garron Hospital, as I'm proud to have created something that stands up for people who have experienced racism. It's always fulfilling to be a part of something that promotes positivity and change. This was a memorable experience for me, and I'm so glad to have been a part of it. Thank you so much.
Change so many things about this world, too powerless
Thank you, Raquel, for explaining to us how you put together the poster that you created for the Michael Garron Hospital. It's such an inspiring story, and I thank you for impacting your community against racism. That last performance by Leox singing Human Soul was beautiful. I think it beautifully sums up our show in encouraging our viewers to show a little love to a human soul, to show a little bit more compassion to your neighbor, to your friend, to the person who's on the other side of that Zoom call. We've come to the end of our show. I do want to say a thank you to all of our performers. They were students, so I really appreciate the time that you took to be involved in this event. I want to thank all the viewers out there. We thank you so much for your support. Thank you again, and I will see you next year.
2020, eyes opened. Maybe your eyes were open wide, or maybe you were just able to come alongside someone. Regardless of where you stand on this spectrum, we hope this helps you to give voice to your own feelings. Remember, all our expressions are meant to provoke thought and encourage conversations, maybe even action. Special thanks to Natalie and our student performers, Diamond, Shira, Talene, Kai, Raquel, Leox, and Zoe. Thank you so much for your vulnerability. Story Art Center nurtures a campus of storytellers who hope to draw you into their experiences, and we are so very, very proud of them. We have included a slide with a list of resources and links that we have found to be helpful and hope you find useful. And finally, we trust that this was time well spent. Thank you for sharing the last 40 plus minutes with us. We look forward to seeing you again in our next installment. Bye for now.